Okay, so one of the things I need to really look at is the blend out here. And I think I know what it is. I have a feeling it's something like that. Let me put this here for a sec. For a tap. Oh, it's just for some reason to come up. that really doesn't matter because you're blending out of an animation. It's the transition between the two. Um, yeah, it's cool. There's just something. I think it's the rotational problem going on. I just want to have a quick look at. I think I know what it is already. To be fair. No. Oh no. 2 seconds.
Oh
Oh,
no. Oh
oh,
no.
there you go. I can hear you. The
Oh no
stream
no
here.
no
Yeah.
no no.
Yeah. Stream can hear you. Everyone can hear you. All good. Tweaks, tweaks, tweak. I'm just making a couple tweaks. And then yeah. And I want to work on a couple mechanics. See if we can get them in. Squeeze me for 0 to 12. While we're still doing it. That's really stable in terms. Yeah, see, that's the weird thing. That's what's weird. Not really, but that's fine. What it is if I let it go, it's beautiful. If I try and compensate, it looks ridiculous. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't ever look good. So what that is definitely this. It's not this guy. I think this guy makes a difference. Um, what it will be is it's from the blend out. This one is truly. What we could do it's just the flips. Let's create quite a unique case. Uh, so virtual void. Nope. Virtual bool. It's a break free console override. Return. Actually, because then that's never gonna do it. What we're gonna do? Oh, my mic's up. Can you hear me now? Sorry. This is what I think we might need to do is that. Obviously, with the flip. Oh, actually. Nah. Gotta make it like the other one. I just gotta make it like the dive roll, dive roll. I just gotta make it like the dive roll.
Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, yo, yo.
Oh, hang on, I need to mute the stream. I hear you twice. Fuck's sake. Right, so how do you want to do this, Dada? Is your mic working, Dada?
I don't think his mic's working. Imagine his mic's not working. It's just.
Oh, that's why he's just soundboarding. Okay.
Yeah, just soundboarding like crazy.
I feel bad for teaching him the soundboard. I feel like I brought this upon us.
You feel bad. I do. You ruined it. Oh yeah. Okay.
Hello.
Hello there.
All right then. All right. I love the soundboard. Did you know?
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I don't know when my Discord subscription is gonna end. I may renew it just for the soundboard.
Oh, mine's just on a monthly.
Oh yeah, mine too. But I still have the fake credit card connected to the Discord. And every time they say, "Oh, there was a problem with your card. We couldn't get your payment." Say, yeah. Right. So while we're here, yeah, I wanna finish quickly this. I'm preparing a preference screen for setting things like camera sensitivity and all the stuff. But so in terms of the that should be quite quick. In terms of the level and yeah, generally our new life, new month, new life. Right, so we got a big not issue, but a big thing to sort out, which is the level. Right? So we got the gameplay quite solid now. So now we need to think about what is the most realistic and effective way to release this version for real, not just as a test. And basically boils down to what do we do with the level.
Wait, I thought we needed to sync up getting rid of UDS from the plugins.
Yeah, sure, but that's just a trivia, like almost like one-click thing, right? But like in general terms, how do we present a good level? So how do we present a good level with good performances for to the general public?
So he's saying in terms of like what we're saying the level should be, all this stuff, like what the level we're giving?
Yeah. I don't understand the question.
So
yeah, I mean,
what is the level should
I'll
be?
come back. Yeah, sorry.
No, go. Yeah, so but what is the level should be, and once we decide that, how realistically we can get the level that we choose to be to a status that we can ship 0-12 with.
But I do think, like, I think for me it comes down to, again, I think like the first level we give to people, it has to be like an urban street environment. Like I just think that needs to be the base foundation that things can come from. Whether that is an open world sort of thing, right? That we need to really decide on, because that would involve like the level streaming, all that kind of stuff. But you know, that can always be placed into an open world, right? So that's not necessarily a problem. It's more so like that initial like starter city that you're in, where you're gonna, you know, people are gonna play, think needs to be representative of the game as a whole, which is what was and is my only issue with Crete being the level, because I just don't think it, like in the future definitely, but as like the now, like the first thing, like, oh, we're really texturing, we're working on it, this is gonna be, you know what I mean, with the map potentially for early access stuff. I don't think Crete makes sense for that.
But you don't want to use Sam's level for it.
I think the issue with Sam's level at the moment is that it was so driven by like without gameplay in the creation process, and I think that is like a key distinction that going forward we really need to have. And I think currently the issue I have with it is that I don't see it in a city right now, and I think when we create this level, it really needs to be in reference to some position in a city. What city we need to decide, whether that's London, that's Paris, that's Tokyo, whatever it is, but it needs to really fit in that city urban environment, and almost like a glove that if we then said, oh, we're going to drop this into a city open world, it could just go plonk, there you go. It just looks like it already. And like you can look around and have buildings around you. You may not be able to access them, but it just looks like it belongs in a way. And you have that, you know, height variation, movement variation, and it feels like a place. Because that is the thing that I struggle now, is like, especially, and I don't know if the direction we've gone with the level visually is necessarily aligned with what Sam initially would actually thought was designing for the place itself. So I think that the disconnect there, and that's just naturally, right, because he's not working on it. So I think the disconnect there, I think, has basically made it so this place lacks any sense of belonging or where it is. I think realistically the level needs to just be like, you can pick it up and be like, I'm here. This could plonk into a city, a specific city, that's fine, but it could definitely plonk into a city, and then we start to build that out. And so then if we say now, okay, we want to make an open world thing, this place does belong in that kind of thing, as opposed to like currently now, I would struggle to see where in any city Sam's level would go, because I don't really know what or where it is.
That's going to push 0.12 back lows though, if we don't use either Sam's or Crete.
Because the thing that I'm worried about is us going down deeper into a rabbit hole that isn't potentially the right, because we don't do that with anything else we do. Like, we always leave ourselves, especially with the game, like it's always been like, we're not afraid to change it, or we're not afraid to restart, we're not afraid to, and that's probably what's led us to a point now where gameplay is really stable. This is not saying about you, because this is us too. We have to be able to say like, oh, you know what, like, yeah, let's not just, you know what I mean, like it's a whole team thing of being like, because it's not just on you saying like, oh, Guns, make the new thing, like you've chosen to keep going, because that's not the case. Often we're saying, nah, make 12, make 0.12, but for us it's about looking back and saying like, okay, you know what, actually let's assess like, what is the situation, what we're trying to create, what does the gameplay work well with.
If we end up settling on doing a new one, like instead of Sam's level recruiting that, I'm happy to do the work. It's just, it's gonna massively push 0.12 back, is what I'm saying, because it's just gonna take time.
The issue I have with the new one now is I still don't even think we have the pipeline for that. Like, I think we still need to really, like, if it's a new one, I think it's not just a case of like, I'll make a cityscape, but it's really a case of like, where are we?
Get it up to
like,
that
where
level.
do we want to
it's
put
gonna
it?
take ages.
which is obviously the tricky part. But yeah, just in my head now, it's kind of like the level is going towards. Sorry, yeah, go Dada. Sorry.
I think if we, so I agree. Like I'm working all the lines there, and generally, I can see all your points. And they all make sense. It's they're all like yours and Gan's points. They're all valid, and they all make sense to me. So maybe to untangle this is because for me as well, releasing like the first version, which is not an urban city, it doesn't feel right. But like 012 is not the first version. Maybe we can just release 012 as a nice sidekick. So like we had like 12 version, and each one of them were extremely different, right? And we have urban levels for 11 of them, right? So maybe just doing 012, which is, to be honest, it doesn't really matter what number it is. It's just like it's a nice environment on a very solid gameplay. I don't think that is that could be just fine. I think the general feeling that we have is, especially when we will catch up with Drew soon and the rest of the boys, is like for the real game. I mean, for for our final vision, what do we want to do? And I think that is a no-brainer. Our final vision is we want to have a super cool urban level, because parkour is basically, and the way that they store or portray parkour is basically in the city in concrete, right? So I think that is our final destination. I think it's a given, right? Anyway, unless the boys says otherwise. So maybe untangling this by saying, yeah, we have this, incremental change. The gameplay is good, and it has, this small little map in which you can test most of the stuff in a beautiful environment. The crit level looks very good, although performance is gonna still be a big question mark. Maybe the only thing missing in the crit level is the side mechanics of parkour, like slides and squeeze and shimmies and all the cool things that we have. They're not really an option there. So maybe adding those extra elements, as a neighbor of the map, right? Like as the side thing of the map. I think the map should stay exactly the same, because that should be the map for Callum Challenge. But then adding something like on the side of it that you can do slides and shimmy, squeezing, and all of the cool stuff.
The only thing I'd question with that is that this is when it feels less and less like a game. Like the more we'd like add the things to the side, the more we stray from, because then the environments don't feel like they make less and less sense very quickly, and then it's like more like a playground than like a real environment that is this city or this like rural concrete like, and it's so quick to go from like a level that you can imagine playing in the real thing to just this testing playground that is textured and doesn't really like give off that same, like evoke that same level of like immersion when you play it. That's my only thing, because like whereas a city, those environment, those things, they're there, right, in a much more like natural way. So it's not adding it in a way that is gonna create some like lack of realism or like lack of immersion in that sense. If that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Because I'm aware, like, because we'll say like we'll add slides, but unless we have some kind of real understanding of how to architecture that properly, it will just become very playgroundy and very fake. Like that's one thing I look at. Like when I look at Skate, for example, right? I think it's one thing that they've actually gone backwards on, in my opinion, is in like when I see all the playtest videos, it looks like just random shit around the city, like a massive bowl just floating in the sky. And then that is one of the things that pulls it out of the like, like street skating vibe that I think we really like, obviously we're really trying to hone in on and nail. And I think it's so super easy to start to like get towards that once you are creating environments or like editing environments for the sake of thing rather than creating them with that in mind. That makes sense?
Yeah. No, sure. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a question of time. I think, generally, there is no, there is really no right or wrong. I mean, if we keep true to our vision, there is really no right or wrong approaches to that. It's just when for me, right? But the when is as right now. The when is almost as important as the other factors, because it could be a long time until we finally manage to untangle this pipeline. I mean, we know that in April we will start a little bit. Well, it's already April. From this month we will, have we can accelerate a lot more. We know that, but it takes time, right? It takes time to, even if bringing one new person on board, it will take time to not train them, but get into the rhythm of things and blah blah. So while we will start now doing all the process, we need to look after the immediate months and see what is our best option for now.
Because my other thing that I'm like, again, I'm playing devil's advocate and just kind of throwing out problems, but I'm just throwing them out so that we can come up what the issues are, we come up with solutions. Because I'm not just saying it just to be a damper, but like the other thing is that I think it might be dangerous to start skewing the way we develop the game for the sake of getting releases out to backers in this like non-early access, early access thing. Because I always think like, if we're making the game so that, and like changing what we prioritize so that we can create a build quicker to people instead of actually developing for the long term, does that actually make sense? Do you know what I mean? So if we're saying, we need to get this out soon, therefore we need to do this a thing that may not be actually the thing for the full game, does that actually make sense when the thing that is our priority is like Steam Early Access is the thing we're actually shooting for, right? So all these other incremental builds, right, they're important, right, in a sense of, making sure we're on the right path, but we're not making the game 4.0.12, right, or making the game 4.0.13, because then we're not, working towards that end, and the progression, I think, will be massively hampered. So if we're shooting, so Steam Early Access, right, that is what we're now, we've got a great list of features, list of things that we want everything to be really good for, right? So when we drop Steam Early Access, end of this year, early next year, whatever it is, we've got a really solid game with multiplayer, yada, yada, yada. So we're looking at that. Does it make sense to be putting so much emphasis on a level for what is meant to be an internal testing tool, as opposed to... Because it would make sense for me is if, as we're developing the thing towards Steam Early Access, we had a rough draft of a first level that we were like, now you guys want to play it, get them in there, see how it performs, see how yada yada or whatever, or as we've got the building blocks, start letting them play it and whatnot. But to make a level specifically for a version that doesn't matter in the actual Steam Early Access or full lifespan of the game, to me, I wonder, is that actually doing us a disservice, and actually we're focusing on the wrong thing there? Because I get it, because it can be a source of like we want 0.12 to do 0.13, but we're not making the game to sell as this intermediary and incremental product, right? Like the end product is what matters the most. So how much will it help us making a level that we don't even think is going to be for the full game now, as opposed to like working on a level that we think can actually make it for the full game now instead, if that makes sense?
I think we should always look at the long term, right? I think short term is for losers, right? I think long term is really where the, where your life is gonna be, right? So I don't think it's a question of spending a lot of time creating this new level that we throw away. It's we have this level. Do we want to use it? I mean, it's the question of so if we take a crit as is now, the only problem is performance, and optimizing performance is something that we need to do anyway. So starting to understand where the problems are in terms of performance, it will help us in the long run making the rest of, making the real level, right, in a way. So I don't think we will be, wasting time in a way, because there is nothing that we will actually actively do that we are gonna throw away. I mean, we already did it, right? If at the end of the day we don't want to use the crit level, bad luck, but it's already there, right? For the most part, and a couple of days here and there, it doesn't really change in the long run. But if we say, let's create a level specifically for 0.12, and we take 2 months, then of course that makes no sense for me.
Yeah, that's the. But I think even like 2 weeks is just like, that's just not what, like, which I think has been our, like, even my, like, just with guns kind of like pulling them around and back and forth, like, oh, do this, I'll never do this, actually nah, and it's like, it's not fair to him either, really. I don't know, it's just it's a tricky one, to be honest. I guess it's just annoying because I don't know why they found out Crete. I'm just like, I don't want to, like, if I'm thinking like I want to record some clips, I'm just like, why is it in Crete? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just thinking like it's a street parkour game. Why the hell am I in the jungle? And I get it because it makes sense, like, that you can do parkour there, but like, for it being the thing to show, like, to start to show off the game, I'm like, what? You know what I mean? In my head, I'm just be like, yeah, but why though? It doesn't, like, why would that be the first thing you texture? Yeah, like, you know what I mean? And I guess it makes sense. Like, we understand why, but yeah, for like a player perspective or like trying to market it, I'm just like, every time I look at it, I'm like, God, wouldn't this be sick in a level like a C? And then I'm like, yeah, but why is it not in a C? Kind of thing. No, it's a tricky one.
We can also look at the other way around, which is, we got so much cool gameplay and we are still jumping into boxes, right?
100%, yeah.
I mean, okay, for me, the less evil of all of our options will be to well, I say ship, but I say to release 0.12 it's because, to be honest, well, now that I think about it, right, we got the like big release of 0.11. We did a couple of posts, but they didn't really do anything, right? We didn't even increase the number of copies that we sold during that week, during that time. So then we didn't release anything, and all out of nowhere we got 4 million views out of and a lot of traction, and the Reddit GTA 6 forums and all those things, right? So it's something that we cannot really, like, I think we shouldn't try so hard to do, because life is, like John Lennon said, life is weapon when you're busy making other plans, right? And then we have all these grand plans for 012, and then a random video makes 5 million views, and we are completely unprepared. And there are people who say, why am I still playing the shit 011? I say, oh, we didn't really, like...
Yeah. No, but I think that's what I'm saying in terms of, like, making a level for the sake of getting this next release out. Do you mean like do you know what I mean? As opposed to making a level that we're making a game. Like, you know what I mean? Same with like mechanics and all this stuff. Like that's where I'm at in terms of, like, I think I know what you're saying in terms of, like, we can't be like, oh, we need to do this because this is what people from the YouTube one or the Instagram one, or so that we can get more like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, it shouldn't matter the perspective of those people. It should matter about our game and the long-term development of it. So then, for me, why are we then not working on a level that corresponds to the long-term development of the game?
Yeah, but also it also generally I think it's a temporary problem that we have, possibly maybe in the next couple of months, right? Because the same way that we, let's say, fix it, our continuity of adding gameplay features, right? Because between 011 and 012 we had what's that, 8 months, something like that, even more, right? Of very, very bad time trying to make everything work together. Now that we got that place, right, we can make fast changes very, very quickly and very, very often, right? So I don't think there is there is a problem doing that with the level creation. I mean, Gant's just started working on this full time, and we need another 5 artists realistically, right? So I think we will get to that consistency quite soon. So while we are getting there, what do we do to keep our momentum of showing the progress of the game? Because also, we need to justify our milestones, right? Internally. So we cannot just say, oh, we will focus for 8 months building the level pipeline, and then, because we cannot do it in the last month, right? It must be an incremental change. We say, okay, right, let's do it incrementally. So I think the work can be done at the same time, right? We just improve the game, and at the same time we will reach a level for the levels that is the same as the code. And yeah, it's I don't know, Gans, what do you think?
Yeah, my personal opinion is that in terms of focus for like having the perfect urbanscape in that, and having exactly how we want it for the vision of the game, should aim to drop for the early access, and anything between now and then, don't worry too much if they're working versions. People will care more about seeing the gameplay. Plus, seeing it like every release even if it's the same map or it's variation maps, just slowly increasing every release up to the early access, people like. I don't think trying to get the perfect one out straight away is that much of an issue.
Yeah, because we cannot do it, right?
Well, yeah, okay. Logistically, we can't do it anyway, but yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned on getting it perfect this early. Because the thing is, most projects wouldn't even show off the work they're doing at this stage. And the reason people are interested is because we're showing it when it's broken, because we're showing it when it's going through the phases and they're seeing, like, people love behind the scenes shit. So show them behind the scenes shit.
Yeah, but I think we got to 11 in which we are, really overtaking that moment in the development, because I don't know,
Well,
I had that feeling that now the game is out there and we cannot hide into, oh yeah, but it's still work in progress. I mean, I think just we need to deliver.
I think that one of the biggest issues with that is that we sell it, right? Like I'd have no issue with that if we didn't sell it, but because we sell it, then what we deliver needs to be somewhat like high quality. Do you know what I mean? Like, in a way, like,
yeah.
Because I guess, although we will tell them, like, guys, this is game dev and the process. They don't know that. So we've got like an obligation to still produce something, that feels like a game and is representative of the final one. Which is where I guess our nitpickiness internally of being like, we've got to improve here and there because we're like, all perfectionists in that way. But I think you're right as well, Guns, in that, like, we can't just keep on trying to perfect it when it's just not gonna happen until the game releases fully.
Don't get me wrong, when it comes to once we actually drop the early access, from that point forwards, yeah. Now it has to be polished all the time, I think. But prior to then, you're not selling a final game, you're not selling a release, you're selling a dev process with a release at the end. But I in my mind personally, when we drop the early access, that's when we run out of time to do. Things are broken, things look weird, things are being developed. Once it drops early access, now it's polished. Or it has to be a certain level of polished, and then we keep going from there. But
yeah, so the plan for early access in 8 months / end of the year is that it needs to be 1 or 2 levels, so like an area big enough, right, polished to the final level of
great.
Yeah, of
in an urban environment.
Yeah, but it needs to be polished to a shippable level, right? Because basically early access it's basically shipping the quality with less content, right? So let's say that we have 2 levels, or whether you wanna group them, like an area big enough that we can sell, right? And not like 4 cubes, right, to go, because that would be, of course, so we will need to get there quality wise and performance wise, like for early access. So there must be a time from here to 8 months in which we incrementally get there, and I don't know when that is gonna happen.
100%. I'm just saying I wouldn't be scared about showing the increments between now and then.
Yeah, I mean, considering that we are still showing broken stuff.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
All right, so what do we do?
I think realistically, we really, before all of this, I think we really have to make a decision on what the world and that is gonna be. Obviously, and I think this also comes down to a lot of conversations with Star Boys and whatnot as well. Like, where it's setting and all that kind of thing. Which now hopefully this next coming month, where that's a lot more frequent. But yeah, I think it comes down to like, is it going to be this big open world, or combinations of small things that you travel to? That is one of the like core things. I'm like, and the role of multiplayer in that as well.
Yeah.
Like, are people joining? Like, are they joining those? Are they joining a world that has all these areas in it, or are they joining a map? Are they joining a game mode in a specific location? Can you do you travel? Are they levels, but you can travel around them as if it's one big map, but they're actually just individual cities that you as a level in itself, and then you can go on the map and travel to it, and it's just loading another level, as opposed to you running from it. Because it's also one of those ones where, like, because open world makes sense when your mode of traversal really makes sense for transitioning between areas, but like you're not gonna run from here to, like, I don't know, the other side of the whole thing. Like in Spider-Man, it makes sense because you can swing across the city, right? But here, you're not gonna run for 20 minutes just to get across a big city. So, but then, yeah, like having a map system, and it's same with, like, it's not like skate where you can use a skateboard and you're flying. So like a map system probably makes the most sense, and you just join. He's in a location, and it's like, yeah, he's in Paris or he's in London. Join his London lobby, and then if you go on the map and you say I want to go to London, then you just open a new London level, and then we can make the cities smaller but really capture the right vibe of that environment that we want to have, but then make them big enough to, like really fill up kind of gameplay stuff. And then you get a lot more variation in your environments then. And you don't have to find a weird way to link them up. Like Crete and London, you don't have to have some kind of weird transitional area that slowly blends into the forest, or it's like, nah, just go to Crete and then you're dropped on an island, like, kind of thing.
That is true.
Because I think ironically the cool thing about one of the cool thing my favorite things about STORROR is like their parkour is street, but they find a way to bring it in like an urbex way to like various environments that you wouldn't look at initially and think parkour, but they really do, like, like Crete, for example, and they've just seen some stuff like using dams and forests and like freaking dunes and like deserts and like all these amazing places that you could capture in this game in such a beautiful way that you can do parkour on, and finding a way to just merge them all in one city, I think it's probably doing a disservice to each and every area, like, because they're all so unique. So like, because that's one thing, like, if we all put them in the same place, they all have to somewhat be similar. You can't like Tokyo and London are very different in their own rights. So how are you going to merge the two cities together? So I think the multi like level system works, and I think it'll make it a little bit more straightforward for multiplayer. You're like, you just join a level, and then you can say you're with someone, you can load into a new level, and then he joins you in that level, and you just create like a thing. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
Right then, Gans, do it.
Yeah, mate. So yeah, whenever you're ready, just go ahead and make that, please. Cheers.
Well, because the thing is, so off the conversation, I was talking to Dad about this, but off the conversation we had the other night about level design, and like the level designers having to be able to do some of the art stuff and back and forth, because I really want to get into the level design side of things as well, and making an area feel real with the architecture and the like civil layout and things like that. So my pitch would maybe be for this first 0.12, because we're so close, so we don't want to lose the momentum. Since Crete's pretty much done and it looks fucking good, if we can fit thematically, if we can fit a couple more gameplay elements into it, happy days. If not, I'd say drop 0.12 with that, and then focus on picking a city we like the look of that fits all of the gameplay elements we need and try and make a little section of it. And
yeah, I will.
if rather than doing like the problem with Sam's one as well is because it was such a big space. I kind of had to do everything visually before we could consider releasing it. If we'd done it in smaller sections and it like do a small section of a city, get it all textured, get it to par, and then if it releases, and the rest of it can have like construction around it. And then as I move to the next area, I just remove the construction, and now I build. So rather than like having a section that's textured and then white box everywhere else, rather than having to do the whole thing, I can just do one section at a time. And then every incremental release we have, it could just be the city growing and growing as construction gets taken away.
Yeah, maybe giving a lot less emphasis on the releases, right? Because it doesn't really make, but to the general public, that 011, 012, 013 don't mean anything. Like they would just say, yeah, I want to play a game, right? Yeah, what are these weird numbers, right? I paid £20, or I don't care about your weird numbers, right? I just want to have I would just want to, and they know that they're playing a demo, blah blah. But I think like we shouldn't really be worried about the numbers themselves. But yeah, I think if we treat Crete as our temporary playground, I mean, there is still big question about performances, right? So performance is gonna be.
But that's also handy because if we went to somewhere else to try and do it all, we'd then have to get it up to standard again before we could start doing performance checks. Whereas Crete's already there, we can just work performance out on it.
Yeah, sorry, Ganser, you cut off there.
Like if we started a new area, we'd have to get it up to par first and then do performance checks on it. Whereas with Crete, all of the up to par stuff is already there, so now we can just use that as our playground for working out performance stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I don't know. I see that as the only option so far.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess because it gives a valid way of looking at performance, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like you said, I don't really know a better option right now. I do think though, in the next, coming days, really this coming week, really got to finalize our plan for the levels and the structure of it.
Yeah, and start getting new people in the art team. So let's make a vote on. So the best option that we have decided is we optimize Crete and we just make it the default map for our next release. Is that? Do we all agree with this?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't have a better idea. So, my only other idea would be to create a city, and it just doesn't work. It's not straightforward. So I've got to just suck it up.
Yeah, not in the time frame we've got anyway.
Not in the time frame. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But I mean, yeah, if we can get Crete looking cool and running well, then why not? And as long as it has a lot of gameplay options, then yeah, I think we're chill. It's actually ironically probably a good level for a lot of stuff. It's got a lot of
Yeah, I mean, we could add some like sort of like tipped over concrete pillars in that if we just wanted to put a couple slides in something, or some concrete pillars that are falling together for a
Yeah, I
shimmy.
mean, I'm just, yeah, it's like I think if we're gonna do it, like, we've got to sack off that idea of it's got to be the most realistic and perfect thing you've ever like. It's got to play well. I think it's just sack off all that. It's just got to be fun. This version, what matters most is that it's. Can I please stick? What is going on here?
Oh, I've noticed though you can't dive roll up platforms anymore.
Yeah, I just don't have an animation for that.
Oh,
It's quite.
it looked fine before.
Yeah, it's a techie one because it kind of applies across all going up things.
Fair.
But yeah, I want to just add.
Well, dive roll off a platform is a must.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
see, this is a gameplay thing, right? Like, I wholeheartedly think in my head, gameplay wise, like those. So one of the things I want to work on next, it does need mocap though, or animations, is the in air like movements and what you're doing while you're in air, right? And I wholeheartedly think you should be able to control your rotation. Like, you set your pose with an input and then you control your rotation with like your sticks. It just, as opposed to like press front flip and it's just rotating for you. And then again, that's another thing. I mean, today I want to have a look a little.
Yeah, I think that one is so hard. It's too hard to make it right.
Yeah, I'm just for me, in my opinion, if you jump, you flick forward, he does a front flip for you. I think we've instantly combated the way you would think it would work, especially with the realism and everything else. That would be my only.
So if you pre-input your movement, you mean?
So I don't disagree with like flipping off. So I think if I run out now, so he'll do a side flip off. He wouldn't do anything off. He should do a side flip off. Right. Like now, first of all, I disagree because it's the wrong animation and it's just dodgy. Can I do the input, please? What's going on here?
Are you playing on the stream?
Yeah, I'm playing on the stream.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah. But he should do one where he jumps and like goes into the like side flip, and also we've got to sort out the rotation on the flips. They're all over the job. But yeah, that's whatever secondary. But yeah, he should do that jump, but then at a point he needs to fall, and not like then just. And then he needs to be able. We can control the pose he's in, and like then we like rotate, as opposed to like flick forward and he'll do a rotation for you.
But you mean rotate around which axis?
And like, so I don't think rotate around like spin, but like forward and backwards at least. So say if I wanted to do a side flip, for example,
Yeah,
I'd go into the side flip input and push forward, and then he would rotate forward. And then, or if I wanted to do a front flip, or a front, so I could tuck and go backwards, or I could tuck and go forward. And the difference would be I input a tuck as a pose, I held that, and then I pushed forward or backwards on my input. And then I could control like the speed of rotation, all that kind of stuff. Same like if you did a gainer. Like, now I know you can't gainer forwards, right? But like, yeah. You know what I mean? Maybe that transitions to a different thing depending on what angle, what way you're rotating and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know.
but I think like my worry for that is that I can see that working for like if you have a 10-meter diving in the Olympics, right? That is sure you want to do, but when you do parkour on concrete, you just like if you like you know very well when you take off what type of jump you want, right? And the the delta time between when you take off and when you land on concrete, you know, they are 0.5 seconds. You don't
Yeah,
even
it's not very long.
time. So,
but there's just like you know when it's my thing is like I think we got to try because there's just like, you know, when I play it, I'm just like I'm imagining inputting it before, and then I'm imagining like vaulting and then grabbing and then pulling back, and then I'm like, oh, overdo it, right? And then one just feels fun and the other one doesn't. Like the thought of like him doing, so let's say he does like a Kong gainer, right? So he does a Kong off here, like does a gainer in the air, and then lands on his feet and then rolls, right?
yeah.
The thought of, for example, with the right trigger, like flicking up, flicking down, and then he does the gainer and lands. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But then the immersiveness and the interactivity of like, now I pull back with this midair, and I've got to control my rotation in order to get like that. Just feels like a fun game, like, and a game that has a skill bar, and it's a game that you'll try a couple. Because I think that's the other thing, like. Precision's got more fun when they had this level of difficulty and this more like interactive control you could have.
Yeah.
That
Yes,
I worry
absolutely.
that because I played games that do the same mechanic of like you control your rotation, and they were very fun. Now, obviously, that's not a priority, right? Like that's not like the flipping and stuff is. Well, it depends, right? Because I think there's a lot of the audience want that, like, and that's just, you know, the nature of, you know, people's perceptions of parkour, right? They like the flipping, they like the spinning and all that kind of stuff, right? And
Yeah. No, but
we're getting close to nailing everything else but that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely agree on the cat pass gainer because I think, right, if the movement makes sense while you're doing it, because a cat pass gainer, like, I mean, I never done one in real life, but what I would guess is that if I see Verki doing that, he does pretty much a normal cat pass, and then he pushes it, right? And then he push backwards, right, to do the gaining, right? So I imagine that fits very well with a physics-driven event, right? Like we can basically play we can basically blend with physics the gainer animation, right? And then it will work. But I think where it didn't work is, let's say that you are doing a dive roll and you are horizontal, and then you want to do a gainer while you're all horizontal. It's
No chance. No chance in hell. Yeah, that there's no way. Yeah, see, but I think that's what confuses, because I agree. Like I say the same thing. Like I don't think. Like, I think the way you, for example, if you want to do a side, like you want to dive off or you want to do a side pre-off, right? Now, you may think it's like jump, side flip, full, right? And then do whatever. But whenever I watch people do it, their takeoff, they're already halfway into the side flip the second they're taking off. Like, because you're trying to get through that rotation as quickly as possible. I'm saying in that case, because I think that is a very specific movement, right? Like you said, the dive roll, like if you're dive rolling off, right, it's either you're going to dive roll and you're going to keep going all the way off so that you can actually like land with your hands on the ground and then roll through, right? And I think that is more so a case of doing the dive roll and then transitioning to this like front facing fall, and then you land and then you've got to roll out of it. And if you don't do the roll out of it, then, you know, and it's a specific type of roll, and like that kind of thing is more so that kind of mechanic, not. And then if you're in this dive roll, for example, and you're then in this front, like I think they all need to transition to a fall. When they transition to the fall, that is the thing that is like dependent, right? Because you could have some transition to a fall at the point at which makes sense, which I think would alleviate the problem you're saying in terms of like you're not gonna do a dive roll and then just go into like a back like dive forward and then just go backwards and do the thing, right? But then I think the freedom of the option is the beauty of it. Like not being tied into like you do that thing and that's what you're doing. That is I think the differentiating factor.
So I think, right, if we played, like, it must be incredibly physics driven, right? So, like, let's say that you're doing a dive roll, and for some reason, right, you really want to do a backflip while you are facing down horizontally. Yeah, you will start to do a backflip, and it will crash badly because it's a really stupid idea to do, right? But
Yeah.
that must be super physics driven. I know that. Yeah, try to do that, but you're stupid.
But like,
Right?
if the physics makes sense,
Yeah.
100. See, that's what I agree. I don't just
Yeah.
because then I think it should also be then, you know, like say you're doing say you input a Kong front, right? Like, so say you do it because, you know, I think it's not, I don't know if it's like a Kong front, but you know the one where you sort of you front flip over of the, I should say
Yeah,
front,
that was true.
we
Yeah,
call
yeah,
it
doing that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Kong front or whatever it is, right? Like that should give you increased rotation on a spin if when you came out of it you wanted to go straight into a tuck. You know what I mean? And the physics of that means that, oh, you know what, if you want to do a double flip in this, you need to start rotating off rip, like early. You can't just jump then rotate, because I think that's the thing, like with realistic gravity you're kind of bound a little bit between, like, your movement can't be just ridiculous. You can't like do, I don't know, do a quad flip and then land and then expect, oh yeah, it's just gonna, you know, he should just rotate the amount of times that he needs to rotate in order for that to work. But instead, if it's like, okay, you know what, like I'm gonna do a Kong front off, and then I've picked up enough momentum or like rotational momentum in order to then squeeze in another one, but I'm controlling that rotation, and then I need to make sure that, you know, I don't over rotate, under rotate, yada yada yada, and that's when the game will be fun in terms of like that skill gap and getting better and all that, you know, because then you can like, okay, I need to, you know, slow the rotation at this point, and it'll be hard, but in a way that's like still fun and not like in the same way like the precisions are hard now. Like, you know, you can in theory one bang it, right, if you're good enough or you just get enough, or you can not, and like I'm doing now, and fail miserably. Ooh, I'll take it back. I'm sick. But like the fact that you have to control that, like, is what makes it really, really fun. That I think those in-air flips, you know, like really will benefit from.
Yeah.
Be like without getting too techie with them, like not like I don't think you need to like, oh, control my right hand on the rotate. Like I think that's just too much. Like that's like a sim, which, you know, we look like a sim in terms of the quality, but it doesn't play like it, so it feels fun. You know what I mean? Like, that's the. Ooh, that stick was beautiful. Oh yeah. Okay.
Idols next time. I need to do idols.
What was I gonna do? I was into Tic Tacs, but kind of just playing at this point.
Yeah, so I think for me the key part is keeping it highly physics driven when you need to override it, right? And then I think as long as we keep it physics driven, then it's very hard to make it go wrong, right? I mean, we
Yeah,
probably
definitely.
need to work on the physics asset. Like, I think it's still a bit too fluffy potentially, but yeah.
No, I agree. I think it's way too flappy right now. Hey, Flying Santa. Yeah, this is Toby's rough model. Emphasis on rough.
Yeah, don't show the face.
Yeah, no, never show the face.
The face is
I need to record a new pulse light animation. God, I did not do justice.
You got the power.
Yeah, I do literally. It's just it's effort getting in that suit.
I know, but that is the thing, right?
It's like, oh yeah, just get the suit. It's like an hour of like faffing.
Yeah, an hour of suffering.
The arm guys feel better too. I think with an actual animation, the arm guys will be so much better.
And
To be fair, I might
also
bring back this.
with the actual hands, like mock-up hands, it's gonna be a million times better.
I like the speed of the slide now. I like how it. Oh, that was sick. Yeah, I like how it accelerates really naturally now, which is nice.
Can we slow down the speed of the slide? Maybe like just put your knees more together to slow you down in the.
Yeah. Well, someone's mentioned like the more you hold, but then I was thinking, what if we made it like the strength of your press is like your grip, like one of the a weird way to. Because the part was like, oh, you should just grab it all the way down, but then and like keep holding to stay attached. But maybe how much you press the trigger will impact the sort of grip strength you have. Like we've got the grab on an axis, may as well use it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, but I think there you have the inverse pattern, right? Because everybody will always press it to the maximum.
Press it full. But yeah, it's true actually, very true. So then they'll just go maximum slow. Yeah, actually. Yeah.
In a way, like I always thought that you maybe want to do the inverse, right? That like if you just do it very softly, then it's stronger in a way. Like your grip is stronger. So it's like if you got no skill, you press it full, and you give whatever speed is the default one. But if you want to control, then the skill is like not press it too much because it goes against your natural instinct. But there is something there that just feels wrong. Just like that physics tactile thing that the harder you press, the more you wanna.
The more you do, yeah, like more press equals more whatever.
Yeah.
I like the setup now because I treat it like a bit of like a vehicle. So now it has that behavior like you can lose grip, which is quite an interesting mechanic if you're moving at too much of a speed. I don't know if you might have noticed it when the pole was moving. Like when you grab it, if you don't get a good latch on, you can slide off because we have like braking deceleration. Yeah. It's quite
that's so cool. I love it.
And it's replicated, which is another good thing because I do it through the thingy. I mean, to be fair, I think everything is minus the motion matching, because I kind of know what replicates and what doesn't. So every time I add a mechanic, it needs to be done through the replicable.
And the beauty of our MVP is that there is nothing in it. So yeah, but in the motion matching, I think we are. Yeah, it's very easy to replicate stuff because we do everything else not in the MVP.
No, definitely.
Spam trigger, that is a very good idea.
What if you try to trick from the pole? What do you mean by that? As in like jump off from the pole? That's all fine. That should work the exact same as like any grab or anything like that.
Or do you mean doing a side flip of like you slide and then you do a side flip to go off the pole slide? No?
I don't know if that's actually possible though.
It's quite hard.
The physics of that doesn't make sense. Like you're going.
I mean, maybe very.
I understand like jumping off of the pole while sliding down. That would make sense. Or like jumping off into a thing that makes sense. But that worked like similar way like a 180 would, like off an arm grab. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah,
they'll
but I
all
saw
function
people
the same.
doing a side flip into the into pulse line.
I've seen,
In the
yeah, but
game.
honestly, it's so weird because I try to tell people, I'm like, guys, the flips are really meant for on the ground. That's literally what they're meant for. But
No,
they're
man.
like, nah, we're gonna use them everywhere else. I'm like, yeah, fair enough.
Okay,
Go for it.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. Not like you coded it or anything. Just you don't know what you're on about. I'm like, all right. All right. I mean, yeah, I'm actually. I'm gonna check this in. Yeah, Dad. I think some point me and you this week, if we go through together the rotational aspect of the flips, because that root rotation is just it ain't. It don't. I need it to go straight. The whole motion. I think we need to smooth the root motion of everything basically.
I have the feeling that we need to redo the captures, right?
Well, we will. We'll have to redo everything. I think we've got to redo everything personally. Like in a proper space. Like I think we need to really rent out a gym and just like we're just in that space, you know, like for a week or something, and just do capture. I mean, if we're based in London, it'd be easier. You know what I mean? So grab one day each guy, just like come here, do your animations, dip out, kind of thing. But yeah,
we really need to find a good setup for the mocap because
I need
so
to
far it was
just find it.
always-
If anyone knows a really good space to do it, that isn't going to charge us like £6,000. I just need like a really good gym that has a lot. It's weird though because the requirements, like you want a lot of objects, obstacle, but not a lot of but you need a lot of room.
Didn't we have someone on the Discord who owned a parkour gym who offered to let us use the space?
Really?
Yeah, way back. I can't for the life of me remember his name. It was way back though.
I think at the very beginning it was there was a guy called I think Ovando. He's a really cool guy. He had or he was working in a parkour gym, or he was his own parkour gym, and we were talking about organizing the motion capture session there, but we never did.
Was he from the Discord?
Well, yeah, he joined the Discord, but I don't know if he was the same guy.
I'll send Rob's a message anyway, see if he remembers.
There was and I think he was charging, I don't remember, like £300 a day, something like that. But there was another guy that wanted like 3K or something like that, and said, yeah, sure. I'm not freaking Kim Kardashian. 3K a day. And then I said, look, either I pay Gans or I pay you for a day. So.
And we paid him for a day. It's 5 o'clock. I'm going to. Yeah. Let me just look at grabbing some tic-tac animations, you know, for the sake of it. Do I have that in the jump?
Right, coffee time for me. So okay, guys. So we decided about the level and the guns. I'm gonna I'm gonna finish this preference screen and then
get the UDS sorted because I can't add UDS to anything now without crashing my engine. So I don't have it in any of the levels.
Okay. All right. Okay. Actually, let me grab a coffee and then. Okay, let me fix that first for you because then you can be active. Okay, yeah. Be back in 2 minutes.
No worries.
So now the tic-tac. I'm thinking we got to break it into the tick and then the tack. All right. Now the tick is to the wall. The tack is from the ball. Now the way you exit out will determine what your tack animation is. So same with your tick.
Something about you referring to the tick and the tack separately makes me really uncomfortable.
Mate, me too.
I don't know why. I really don't like it.
The tick and an attack. Because it is a jump. Like I think the tic tac has to be you jump, like you're jumping to something. And I think this is one of those cases where it's like, because I don't like the idea of jumping, you hit the wall, then it goes, you're on a tick. That's sucky. I think it needs to be you're jumping at a wall, jump to the tic tac kind of thing.
It has to recognize that you're intending.
It can't it can't
Actually,
react to
double
the last second because the body just wouldn't do like it needs to be jump. The jump you do is like, hey, there's a wall there. But then again, like, yeah,
But
I think
to
it's
be
got to
fair-
be.
Okay, but the cases in which you are going to tic tac, to be fair, are quite limited. And if you're ever planning to do tic tac, you're probably not planning to do anything else because it's going to be a big flat. Oh no, because if you're tic tacking off the edge, like off the ledge, never mind. I was gonna say because it'd be a big flat surface, so you're either doing that or a splat. But then you could just base it on height. But if you wanted to tic tac off the top of a wall or something,
Yeah.
it's going to be different.
See that I've got as like a step jump, right? So I have that. I have like a step up and a step jump, right? So you can jump onto the thing and then jump off it. I just don't have animations for that.
so.
But so I have that already. That's already actually set up.
Then I guess, yeah, if they're jumping at a big flat wall, but there's clearly no way to the top of it, always pick a tick. I'm not calling it a tick jump. Pick a tic tac entry. Animation.
Tic tac exit, yeah.
Because worst case scenario, if they're not doing a tic tac, it's just going to look like they're jumping and putting their foot against the wall to stop themselves splatting.
Yeah, and then you fall. Then I'll just transition you to a fall. That's no issue.
Yeah.
And then you can and I think that will actually be a splat because you jump to a wall. Because I think realistically what should happen is like your jump to the wall should always transition to a splat. And then if at the point at which you plant your foot, you wanted to jump again, like you've input, so it's like tap, tap, then you launch off again. But this launch will be fully physics. Well, I think the tricky thing is, so should technically the tic tac. It's just like, it's that level of realism where like you could in essence jump off a wall, hit a wall and jump off it again, but it just doesn't line up right. Like in an arcadey sense, it makes sense, right? You hit the wall, you jump off again. But like in this scope, I just don't know if it actually lines up properly. Like a tic tac is very much like a step off and go kind of thing, as opposed to the launch power you get from actually jumping off the wall, that I can get behind. But yeah,
I think using the entry as both a splat and a tic tac isn't going to work either. Because tic tac should be a lot more side on. So because you were saying that you like all times go into a splat and then you can choose to tic tac out, but your body position's different. If you're splatting, you're facing into the wall.
Yeah.
And if you're tic-tacking, your chest is going to be facing away from the wall even when you hit it because you're already intending to drive away.
I also think a splat really needs to be like, you jump, you hit a wall, you go bang, and then you drop off as a separate. It's just that kind of like middle ground between like reading the player context, world context, and like how much do you do for the player? How much do you interpret their input in terms of the context? Because we'll never get a beautiful transition if it's like jump, hit the wall, go off again. But you can't read into it completely. Now, what you could do and what we should do okay, this is a lot more work, but what if when we're jumping, we're falling right, wherever, then our trajectory, right, that we're reading, when we get within range or something of this wall, or this object in front of us, we can read the normal of it to determine it. We transition our pose into that tic tac, similar to how, when I do an arm grab we start to go, oh, arm grab off this point. We continue with our fall, but our animation now is syncing up to plant his foot on that wall.
But your takeoff, your body position on takeoff is going to be different if you're intending
Yeah,
to
completely
facing
different. That's the difference, right? Because I'm thinking about it of like a jump, full, tic-tac jump. But really,
it's decided on the run-up.
It's decided, isn't it? Yeah.
It's before the takeoff. Like on your run-up, you've decided it.
Again, and that's the thing I don't want to lose, because there is just there's a way that they jump off the wall and they jump to the wall that just looks like a tic-tac. Do you know what I mean? Like, let me just go through these animations and I think it will just become obvious, because I think it's what you said. It's like the way I've seen, because we did it with Benji a couple of times at Kingston, and the way he jumped to the wall was just completely different than just jumping and hitting the wall. Like you could his whole stride to the wall, like the jump itself, was completely unique to how you would just jump off this thing.
Yeah. The problem.
But you don't want to be so removed that, like, you know.
Problem is, your system would have to be clairvoyant to predict that. Like, unless you have.
No, I think there comes a point where you decide for the player. Like, you say, you're jumping at a wall within this distance, and you're very close to it. Like, you're close to the wall. Like, you're jumping against, in essence, a flat surface.
I guess you could combine it onto the stride modifier, so that if they're like holding to do a stride, but it's not to something that. Oh no, because if they're going to use the edge of the wall, you're fucked. Fuck. Nah. Oh no, because that's a step up. But yeah, if they're striding towards a vertical surface based on the normal, they're probably wanting to tic-tac off of it. Whereas if they're not holding it, then they're probably going to want to jump to the wall and splat.
Yeah.
Yeah, under the right trigger jump. That's what I was saying, Dumbus.
Yeah. I think that's the best. I think that's the best, like, because it is a precision. You know what? Yes. The reason why that works beautifully is because the strides and pliers are already contextual. Yes, Guns. Great job.
Hey-o.
Yes, actually, screw you, Guns. Yes, Dumbus. Because you got to think about it, right? The right trigger adds the context for us. So now if I'm saying, because now you think of the splat then, and you're, okay, yeah, beautiful. Because now we think about it. Say you wanted to jump, hit the wall, slide down, do whatever, right? It shouldn't do a tic-tac. He should just jump, right? And do whatever. And you can jump, smash into a wall. You can jump, slide down it. You can jump. You could be on a pole. Like, we'd have to read so much of the context to be able to know exactly what's going on there. And that is just, again, you're doing too much. Whereas now, if I say right trigger, all of a sudden, on the right trigger, I'm already reading all my contexts. I'm already reading what my action context in terms of, am I going across? Am I going over? Am I going onto? Am I going up? Am I going... Now I'm just saying I'm going against in this context.
Yeah.
Read that. Say, okay, I'm going against the wall. I want to do a precision jump against the wall. That is a tic-tac. Whereas a precision jump across is a stride. Yeah. And then if you want to do a step jump, like you want to step up onto a thing and then jump off.
I mean, you've already got that on the press and hold.
Exactly. And now we move that to the right trigger as well, because now we're saying, there we go. So then we say, hold right trigger, press and hold. He'll step onto it, ready to do a precision. Like, that is the tic-tac onto something and off. And then we just say the only thing we decide for them is what you're stepping onto versus what you're stepping against. And there's like a little like, if the object is like low enough, like here, right, you're going to step onto that. If it's any higher, you're going to step against it. And then that will be the difference.
Jump into the wall to jump again.
Yeah, no. So the tic-tac is the tick and then the tac. But I'm just not saying that's tic-tac entry, tic-tac exit. So the right trigger will be the tick to the wall, which would have its own exit. So if you do tick to the wall and you don't do anything, you'll tick to the wall as if, and like slam it and then just drop. right? So you could, in essence, just jump to the wall, drop down, doing that same thing. In the same way,
what you could have for fun is if they done that. So if they're doing the tic tac entry without the exit, effectively it's a splat at a really awkward angle. So when you drop off the wall, you land into a stumble.
Exactly. Because in this, it's the exact same as strides. He's thinking about the stride now, right? I can stride across this, right, and then he'll just exit back out into run. Or like here, he'll stride, and then he'll just drop right afterwards.
Yeah.
Happy. I keep forgetting that I've got the slow-mo on a toggle now, by the way, so get ready to get used to that. But then
Has
what I can
changed
also
the
do
slow-mo yet to character only? No.
To what?
Oh, so you use global time dilation for the slow-mo, don't you? But you can set time dilation to a specific actor rather than global.
Yeah.
Which he needs to, because if you're in the pause menu and you tab out, because slow-mo's on alt, it means when you tab back in, it doesn't receive any input because everything's slowed down. You get stuck in the menu.
Whatever that was sus. Yeah, it works the same way as a stride. So now we can be like stride, or I can be like stride, just step off. It's the same thing. So now I can be like, if I'm here, I could be like tic tac, and it would just hit the wall, drop back off. And then if it's got no ground, it'll fall. If it does, yada yada. So tic tac, boom. So realistically, the tic tac entry you could in essence, right? The animation should be jump to this wall, drop back down. Like land back on the ground. As if you're just doing a douche and drop down off the ground.
Yeah.
But then if I go in this exact same way we transition from the slide, I'm doing this right here. Tic tac. Tap again before I've landed, exact same way as the strides. Then I can pull the stick into so my direction of entry will matter in terms of picking the animation. So that's cool. So I can maybe, if I go in like this, it'll pick like an angled one. If I go in like this, it'll pick a more straight one. And then the direction which I pull the left stick on the tic tac exit, that'll launch me. And then we just pick an animation, rotate it, and align that to your exit. And then the animation you pick also depends on where your stick is being pulled as you're exiting on the animation. So if I like do a tic tac and I pull like forward, he might step forward and go off. Whereas if I pull more diagonally left, he'll do like a different one to like dive up to the side. Yeah, that's the one. That'll work. All right, let's try that. And then at least the second jump is physics based. So then it comes the difficulty of going like tap, hold, release. But maybe you just generate the power quicker so that you can do like a little one or a bigger one and so on and so forth. Muy bien, gracias. I like this.
Horizontal wall run on the right trigger and climb button.
Ooh, with the wall run.
Maybe. Or would you have
The
the
wall
wall
run's an
run
interesting
be
one as well.
Would you have it be the same entry as a tic tac, but rather than your analog? So if your analog stick's then aiming away from the wall, you're tic tacking out, and if you're trying to hold it into the wall, it means you're trying to stick to it.
I would say yes, but the entry for a tic tac to the wall and a wall run would be very different.
Yeah. Yeah.
The reason why potentially that climb way can be do because it's a sort of climb like right trigger square. That would make sense.
It would be weird as well because you'd have to jump and then switch to the.
But then the only thing is that it feels like a jump. But then again, we interpret that wall pop. Like you could always also interpret that as a jump. Whereas like this is a vertical. Yeah. Do you hold it?
Oh, what you mean? What if you mean you hold the jump button rather than tap it?
Yeah.
Maybe.
But then at one point do you start the you have to say after a second, but then what if you're trying to build power? Well, it doesn't matter actually because yeah, but then you have to input well before. Like you can't do it there and then the climb button makes the most sense. I mean, what I can do is just make it so that the wall run does that and then we just figure out what feels good about it. Yeah, the tic tac state will take priority.
Yeah.
That wall run.
Actually, that's a point. You could just have. I don't know, because then you might actually want to tic tac off a slant edge so much.
I mean, you always say left trigger. For wall run, right trigger, tic tac. But then, yeah, you try to confuse it. Right trigger as like a jump modifier makes sense. I mean, to be honest, what they're on doesn't really matter as much as them working like a charm. So we can always change that. The control skill, that's malleable. We'll try a couple different ways, whichever feels the best. What matters, though, is the process. And
yeah,
that tic-tac process functioning like a... Oh. God, the sticks are so much better. That's crazy.
You know what's a fun little challenge I was doing earlier though? I don't know if you'll have space to do it on this map. It's on my version where I've added a load of stuff, but I've got spaces where I can like vault pre down on something that's horizontal, so I can vault pre and then stride off. But the only way you can do it is if you stick the pre right at the last second, so you get the shortest possible animation and then immediately stride off. And it's a super tiny window, but you can actually do it.
Ooh.
In the dev folder.
All right, let's do Tiki-Taka. Let's do it tonight. I'm gonna get done this evening. Just so funny. I should just tic-tac. Step jump with more power. Okay. So we'll need to. Terrible. I don't like how this is organized, I'll be honest with you. This should be down there, but I don't want to mess it up. Gonna mess up the thing. I can't be upstairs now. Alright, I'm gonna grab some food. And then I'll be back to do this tonight. We will have tic-tacs tonight. Mark my words. Mark my words.
But flash forward to 4 hours later, you're just in tears because it's not working.
There's no tic-tac. It doesn't work. Because the other thing is wall running is we also need to use motion matching for that, and that's an interesting and interessant. Well, yes and no, because it's motion matching, but it's also physics. That is the differentiator. Like a, because it's kind of like a fall. You know what I mean? Yeah. Très intéressant. Very interesting. Because I'm wondering, do I not just make the war run its own movement mode that has a gravity component? Because it needs to be replicated. That's the other thing that, like, because I know what and will, like, when we're doing, you're right, coding, you're saying like set actor location, all that stuff ain't replicating well. So wall run to slide would look beautiful. I think it's a full, but it's like, instead I clamp you to the surface on your X and Y, but then your Z, and then it's doing it, whatever animation it's doing, it's flying, it's falling while it's doing it, whatever, doesn't matter. But then you're going like this. Then you can move along in that given direction. Clamped to whatever your initial thing. And then we just keep applying a Z gravity scale. And that should naturally, and maybe we initially impart velocity, but I'll do that through the character's movement component and give it its own movement mode. So then I could say begin wall run, transition to wall run movement
No,
mode.
no, you're right. Wall run.
Transition to wall run movement mode. Compute gravity, clamp to wall, do whatever with that, but replicate all that stuff. And then, yeah, it's just a type of fall. And then when you say, then you could say, when your angle of thing based on your forward, like, we don't change that, you control that, but your forward and your down, when your down velocity starts to meet your thingy, at some point you'll just transition out of the wall run. Muy bien. I like that. Makes sense to me. And all we have to do is then your initial velocity in the wall run is just the velocity of the run. So when you say transition to wall run, make velocity this, you should just do that.
Only that works. Sorry, I did.
Let me just drop the gravity scale. I mean, I'm just gonna look about this. Right, I want to get some food, guys, and I'll be back later tonight. We will have Tic Tacs, or not? We probably won't, but yeah. Sweet.